Today, parenting advice from Oprah's bestie and how it's going to help you to be a better parent. It's I'll Do Better Tomorrow. Welcome to the Happy Families podcast, Real Parenting Solutions. Every day on Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast, we are Dr. Justin and Kylie Coulson.
When did I get promoted to Oprah's best friend?
I didn't realise that's where you were going to go with that. I've got no idea what you're talking about. I just know what I'm talking about today.
Hey, I've got a photo with her.
You're keeping secrets with Oprah?
Yeah.
Since when? You saw Oprah at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, didn't you?
It's a great photo.
Yeah, it's great. How exciting. Kylie, today, as we always do, we review the week that was. We talk about our parenting experiences in the hope that what we've learned through our mistakes or by getting things right can help everyone else to make their parenting and their families happier.
Well, if I'm not Oprah's best friend, who's Oprah's best friend?
You're going to find out about that in just a sec. That's my I'll Do Better Tomorrow. It's coming up in just a sec. We do want to follow up on what we talked about last week, though. Last week, we described how our Year 12 daughter participated in her first ever swimming carnival since entering high school so that she could fulfill her dreams of being an active and complete participant in everything Year 12. And she won everything, which was the world's biggest surprise.
Well, what was even more of a surprise is she came home a few days later and she said, I'm going to districts. She wasn't as excited about that as she was about winning.
She's like, I better start training. Anyway, there's been this thing that's been doing the rounds on social media for some time now. It's a pretty old video and it goes for about 2 minutes. It's a little bit lengthy, but we wanted to share it with you today because it's a really nice way of underscoring our position on competition. That is that competition can be terrible for your identity if you take it as an indicator of your value as a person, winning or losing. But if you have the right approach to competition, it can be tremendously beneficial. This is Frank Dick, OBE. Frank Dick is the former director of coaching for UK Athletics. He's coached Olympic teams from the 1970s through the 1990s during the UK's golden years. I mean, this guy was a dead set a legend when it comes to athletic performance and competition. And Kylie, you dragged this up. It really spoke to you.
I just love these first few seconds. Literally, the first few seconds just grabbed me because we get so caught up in our kids needing to be better than other kids. But his definition and the way in which he's able to coach kids is just brilliant.
Let's hear it.
You know, 100 years ago, I was a Scottish national coach. And I used to go around the tracks of Scotland working with coaches. And every now and again, a little girl from this town or that town would turn up. Mr. Dick! Yes? Will you coach me? Well, yeah, but not at the moment because I'm working with these people. Will you coach me later? Yes, fine. She's 9 years of age and she wants to go to run 100 metres. And I worked with her for a few weeks. She goes to her first race. She lines up with another 7 kids. On your march. Set. Bang. Runs down the track. Hurls herself at the line. 8 out of 8 in 18 seconds. And comes back. Oh, Mr. Dick, I was last. No, you weren't last. Yes, I was. No. You were 18 seconds. What do you mean? Well, you've smashed the 20-second barrier, and I had you down for 19 seconds. You're a whole second faster than that. Do you know what this means? No, this means it's your lifetime best performance. Your own personal world record. Really? Yes. And in some ways, you're a first. What do you mean? You're the first athlete I've ever coached who's run 18 seconds for the 100 metres. Now listen, in a few weeks' time, she's got another race. What does she think winning is now? If she does 17.9, she'll grab a flag and she'll run around the track. Because that's what winning is. Winning is being better today than you were yesterday. Every day. And if she keeps on working at that, in a few weeks' time, she's fighting with other kids to get to the line. And you might think to yourself, well, surely winning now, Frank, is beating them. Not if it's in 19 seconds, it's not. Or we've killed our definition. The reason you go into tough arenas in life is to be challenged to perform better. You cannot perform better if you're not challenged. Listen, you don't learn to climb mountains in life by going round them or asking somebody for a ladder. You learn to climb mountains by climbing mountains, by seeking out the really toughest challenges, because that makes you perform better. When you keep on going at that, one day you'll be a one and only. But the truth is, she always was, is, and will be.
Kylie, how inspiring. It makes you just want to go and climb a mountain right now, doesn't it?
I kind of do.
You kind of do. Okay, bye.
I love
it's a little
that
bit human
acknowledgement.
outside. I'm not sure.
No, I love that acknowledgement that he says you don't get better by kind of going around the mountain. You actually have to climb it. And the idea that competition is against other people is not going to help our children.
That's right. Like if your PB is 18 seconds and you beat everyone but you do 19, you didn't run a good race.
But other people motivate us because they give us the hard to work against. Without that, we don't have anything to work with.
Interesting story about that. Cockroaches. A researcher called Zion, Zajonc, Zion, back in the 1960s, did these experiments with cockroaches. He found that when they had to run down a little track to get some food at the other end, he figured out what the average time was. Then
Do you know that cockroach races are actually a thing?
Yeah. Then he put an audience of cockroaches there in these little cockroach grandstands that he made out of cardstock or whatever. And the cockroaches run faster when they've got an audience. And so do we. Isn't that fascinating? It's called the mere exposure effect, just being exposed to audiences. I know, just random factoids that you learn when you study psychology. All right, so we're using up all of our time and we haven't even done I'll Do Better Tomorrow yet. Kylie, what is your I'll Do Better Tomorrow today?
Just really short little story. A couple of weeks ago, I found something on my feed. It was a conversation that a nutritionalist was having with the idea that our taste buds actually change every 2 weeks.
Huh.
And what's interesting about that is we get it in our minds that we don't like something, our children specifically.
Yep.
They try something and they don't like it. Mm-hmm. And then the idea that they would try it again, knowing full well that they don't like it, doesn't make sense.
Right.
But I shared this idea with Emily after I watched it.
So for those who are not familiar, Emily, our 10-year-old, she eats yellow food and she eats white food. She's really, really, really difficult to get
and then
good
she
nutrition.
eats crazy things like cucumbers and
cucumbers aren't that crazy.
Well, kind of it is if you're a white food, yellow food kid. Like cucumbers is really out of the box, and so is passion fruit with its crunchy seeds, and she just random things. But anyway, I talked to her about the fact that her taste buds change all the time, and
when you say change, you mean like the taste buds that you have today will not be the same taste buds that you have in 2 weeks because of the way cells
kind of like shed themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the idea is that you would reintroduce foods at a regular interval because there's a chance that you might actually decide that you like something.
When I was younger, I couldn't eat avocado, and now I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's so many foods that I didn't eat as a child, and over time, you've introduced me to different foods, and I
yet to get you there with oysters.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever get there.
Anyway.
But the other day, it was hilarious because there's a treat that I make in the house on special occasions, and I had some left over from an event that I'd done, and she loves part of it, but not all of it. And so she was trying to steal some of it off you.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
You didn't want to share it with her because she didn't want to eat the whole thing. She just wanted to take part of it. And
so like skimming the cream off the top, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And what was so cool about it was she did it, and you just said, no. If you want it, I'm really happy to share with you, but you need to take the whole thing, not just the topping. And she kind of looked at you and she went, all right. And so she dug in, she took a bite, and she looked at me with these wide eyes and she said, I think my taste buds have changed. Right. And then you had to hide it because she wanted more of it.
I just handed it over. I just gave it to her. I'm off sugar anyway, so that wasn't such a bad idea.
But what was delightful about that was just, again, we just plant these seeds and help our children to recognize things, and in their own time, in their own way, they will. And so that is such a beautiful stepping stone as we continue with our food journey together in helping her to recognize that I know you didn't like it 2 weeks ago. That's okay. Let's give it another go. So my I'll Do Better Tomorrow is taste buds change every 2 weeks, and we can encourage our kids to try things in different ways and different times, and hopefully over time things will get better.
Kylie, my I'll Do Better Tomorrow is built on something that Oprah Winfrey said. Well, it wasn't Oprah. I'm not
my best friend.
Yeah, it's not Oprah, but it was something that happened on the Oprah show, and we're going back years. Like I don't know how long ago it was, but she had Toni Morrison on her program, and this is what they said.
I said, it's interesting to see when a kid walks in the room, your child or anybody else's child, does your face light up? When my children used to walk in the room when they were little, I looked at them to see if they had buckled their trousers, or if their hair was combed, or if their socks were up. And so you think your affection and your deep love is on display because you're caring for them. It's not. When they see you, they see the critical face. What's wrong now? But then if you let your face speak what's in your heart, because when they walked in the room, I was glad to see them. It's just as small as that, you see.
That is what I think is so profound, because that is how you learn what your value is.
That's right.
Not by what the person is saying to you, but what you feel.
Yeah.
So, Kylie, my I'll Do Better Tomorrow is just the wisdom of Toni Morrison on Oprah. I've shared this in presentations for years. I make a bit of a joke about how I've got a PhD in psychology and I'm teaching parenting by Oprah, who doesn't even have kids. But the real joy or the real delight that I find when I hear that particular story, that particular piece of audio, is I work really hard. When you call me, I want you to hear the delight in my voice. When I walk into the house, I want you to see the smile on my face because I'm so glad to see you. I don't get it right all the time, but I try really hard to do that because I think that matters. When our children walk into the room, I want them to see that joy as well. Although as we're recording this podcast, one of our children did walk in, and we have a rule that when the headphones are on our heads, nobody's allowed to walk in, and she did not see joy on my face, even though we hadn't seen her all day. But to the extent that I can, I really, really want them to see joy in my face when they look at me, when I walk into the room or when they walk into the room. It really struck me, though, the difference, even when I'm trying with our kids, when our granddaughter, Indiana, comes into our home or into our orbit, when we see her, my face lights up in a way that it doesn't for our own kids. And I'm a bit embarrassed about it because I need to work harder with our own kids. But just the other day, she came over for a visit. Our daughter brought her over, and I looked at her, and as soon as I saw her, my whole face came alive. It was like, this is the best news of my life that you're here today, and I get to have cuddles with you. I was just so filled with delight and joy to be able to see her. And as I reflected on it, that came into my mind. Does your face light up? Does their face light up? What's going on? What are they seeing? And I thought, yeah, I'm getting it right. And then I was like, oh, hang on, that's my granddaughter. What's going on with the kids? And I thought, I know I'm doing a good job. I know I work really hard on it, but I don't think my face gets quite as excited as it does for Indy. And
I think we're all the same, though.
Well, yeah,
our kids included.
Everybody gets excited when they see Indy. But my I'll Do Better Tomorrow is just to be intentional. When you look at the people that you love, can they see how much you love them in your face? Or are they getting the critical face, the stressed face, the tired face, there's too many things to do, not enough time to do it, and you're not pulling your weight face?
It's interesting that she brought up this idea of your critical phase, even in the acknowledgement that in that moment she's checking to make sure that everything's okay, they're presentable, because she wants them to walk out feeling confident about themselves. So it's not even that she was angry.
No, it's a critical phase because I want what's good for you.
Yeah. And just the acknowledgement that that's what they see, as opposed to what's actually in our heart and the intention behind our actions, even when our actions are kind. Yeah. So I love how you have just acknowledged just the contrast between having your grandchild walk in and how intense that emotion feels, and our desire, because words aren't the essence of our relationship with our 1-year-old grandchild yet.
Yes.
She doesn't.
It's just the feeling. It's the face.
That is. And the face means everything. And it's such a beautiful reminder to light up when you see the people you love. Have
a great weekend, everyone. We really thank you so much for listening to the Happy Families podcast. Hopefully it's giving you some inspiration, joy, and making your family happier. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. More information and more resources to make your family happier at the Oprah Network. No, I'm just kidding. At happyfamilies.com.au.